We can now speak to one of the Syrian president's closest advisors, Bouthaina Shaaban, who has sat those peace talks in Montreux. And we do thank you very much indeed for making time for us here on CNN this evening. Do you agree that this civil war has caused incalculable suffering for the Syrian people?
Of course, the war has caused horrible suffering to the Syrian people. And I think, but the question is, why do these countries support terrorism in our country? Why do they finance, arm, and facilitate these horrible Wahhabi extremist terrorists to kidnap and kill in our country? That's the question.
The Syrian government's line is that this should be about ending terrorism in your country. Others will say that until you stop insisting that Bashar al-Assad play a role in politics going forward, you stand in the way of peace. Why do you do that? Is that negotiable?
No, why do they decide from the Western world that Bashar al-Assad stands in the way for peace? Do we have the right to decide that any Western leader is not good for his people? Or is it the people usually who decide in every country who should be a president? Isn't it should be done through elections? I see this as a horribly colonial attitude towards my country. And by the way, what has happened to my country is not against the regime. It's against the people. It's against institutions. It's against economy. It's against children. It's against women. It's against the way of life. It's a destruction of our identity.
And there have been thousands of photographs, alleged photographs of torture victims taken out of Syria. You talk about those who are suffering. Alleged victims who have suffered at the hands of the Bashar al-Assad's government. He could be held up at this stage for war crimes and sent to The Hague. This is a man who Hang on for 1 second. This is a man who every other delegation at this meeting says must go if there is a possibility of peace going forward. So I ask you again, is his political presence going forward negotiable or not?
You know, I don't think it's even right to ask me this question at all. Isn't it democracy about voting, about ballot box? I think what they should do is put a mechanism for elections, for ballot box, and then let whoever wants to win election. These alleged photographs you saw, you will discover in 2-3 months' time that these are part of the lies that had been circulated about Syria for the last 3 years. Remember the chemical on the 21st of August, 2013?
We do remember that,
yes. It was the Syrian government. Now, verified study from Massachusetts Institute saying it was not the Syrian government who did this, it was these terrorists who did this, and they prove it. So at that time, Syria was threatened of a military strike because of that allegation. There are thousands of lies circulated about Syria, and I can tell you the objective is neither the president, nor the government, nor the regime. The objective is
Let me ask you.
Just let me finish. The objective is to destroy a secular, moderate, beautiful example in the Arab world, and to leave Wahhabism and Saudi Arabia as an example in the Arab world.
Bouthaina, who you think is then behind the destruction of Syria, and also when you believe the last evidence of Bashar al-Assad running a democratic country was. Two different questions there.
Well, you know why do you have to interfere in what the Syrian people do? Put a mechanism for a political process after putting an end to this terrorism, and then let the Syrian people decide for themselves. That is the natural thing to do.
Over 100,000 are dead and millions are displaced.
You know,
Syria can't work it out for itself,
can it? Becky, I just want to say this for record. Western countries will discover, Western people who are now supporting Wahhabi terrorism will discover a year from now, probably 2 years from now, that we are fighting your enemy. And you are supporting the enemy of humanity, not only the enemy of Syria. Because I am living in Syria. I am coming from Damascus. I am a mother. I am a woman. I know how women are having children butchered in front of their eyes. How a woman, and I give you her name, Maysoon Mhalla, put a bomb for herself and her children because of the horrid prospect of the terrorists raping her and butchering her children in front of her.
All right.
Come to Syria to
which
see
is
what's
why,
happening in Syria.
let me just speak for one moment, because you've had your say, and we do appreciate it, which is what brings me back to my very first question as we spoke this evening. Why is it that the Syrian government is standing in the way of peace? If Bashar al-Assad committed to standing down from politics, peace would be a possibility, surely, going forward. And that is something, surely, that as a woman, as a mother, and as a friend of the people of Syria, as a Syrian woman yourself, you must want peace going forward, don't you?
All Syrian people want peace, not only me. But it is not up to the people who have never been in Syria or up to the people who have been out of Syria for 30 years, who don't know at all what's happening on the ground, to decide how peace can be made. It is the Syrian people who are living through these horrid times who decide how peace can be made. We want peace. We want to build our country. We want to live together. Christians and Muslims and all ethnicities and all religions. We don't want this Wahhabi thinking that comes and destroys churches and kills the Christian and assassinates people who are there praying in the mosque. That's what we don't want.